This training video reviews the process of education level verification. We will cover the most important aspects of each of these topics: education level and percent remaining eligibility, how to identify, verify, and clear flagged records, and we will leave you with some valuable resources. First, we will talk about an overview of education level verification. It is important to note that EL is established at the time of the first disbursement. Only newly awarded students will be flagged for EL verification. However, there are two types of awardees that will not be flagged for EL verification. These include the high school entitlement recipients. The Commission receives the high school grad date, so WebGrants knows that the education level of these students is EL1 for freshmen. These students will be awarded 400% or 4 years of eligibility. The other type of awardee not flagged are the Cal Grant C participants. Each institution implements their own EL policy, so you may have noticed the audit icon on this slide. This icon indicates that this item is a requirement of the institutional participation agreement and is therefore subject to review during a compliance audit. All institutions are required to establish and follow policies around SAP, payments and disbursements, Cal Grant refunds, over-awarding, and education level. So the audit team will ask to see your established policy. Institutions must calculate both completed units of new Cal Grant students as well as transferred units in accordance with their EL policy to determine the accurate education level. Something to keep in mind is that WebGrants will allow a fall payment to be posted prior to verifying education level. However, it is best practice to verify before paying the student. Later in this presentation, you will see a scenario where a school could inadvertently overpay a student and be required to repay the overpayment. It is important to understand that education level determines the length of the Cal Grant eligibility. That means the total number of years that a student will receive the Cal Grant. Each institution sets its own policy on education level and is responsible for implementing these policies. Education level only has to be verified once, and this is something that is done in their initial award year. All schools follow their own policies, which may differ from school to school. Some community colleges cap EL at 2, which is sophomore, while others base EL on total number of completed and transfer units, even if that makes the student's EL3 a junior or EL4 senior. It is important to be aware that each school has a different policy which could affect a student's Cal Grant eligibility. Your institution's EL criteria may look similar to the one provided. Here, this example defines EL1 as having 0 to 29 semester units, which is equivalent to 0 to 44 quarter units, EL2 as 30 to 59 semester units, and so forth. In the last column, you can see how the education level affects the student's remaining Cal Grant eligibility. Here is a sample EL policy and scenario. An institutional policy accepts a maximum of 70 transferable units. This student completed 100 units at another college prior to transferring. Based on this EL policy, what is the student's education level? The answer for this scenario is education level 3, 60 to 89 semester units, because the school only accepts a maximum of 70 transfer units. Now we're going to look at a couple more scenarios. In this scenario, a new competitive awardee receives his initial payment at a California community college as a sophomore in fall term. He then transfers to another campus in spring term, but the new school's EL policy considers the student a junior. The question is, which EL policy applies? The answer is that the EL is determined by the school that made the initial payment. In this case, that would be the community college, and that is the EL that establishes the Cal Grant lifetime eligibility. So this student will finish the academic year as a sophomore and will be considered a junior in the next academic year. If you believe that your student's EL was verified incorrectly by the other school, and it is impacting your student's remaining eligibility, contact that school. If you're not able to contact the school, please contact CSAC so that we can work directly with the other campus. In this scenario, a competitive Cal Grant B awardee self-reported EL2 on their FAFSA or DREAM Act application. The school paid the student before verifying EL. By the time the school does the verification in spring, it is revealed that this student is actually an EL1. The problem is that Cal Grant B awardees are only eligible for the Access Award in the first year, not the tuition and fees component. But the school had already paid out as an EL2, including the tuition and fees, ultimately resulting in overpayment. At this point, the school must now back out the tuition fee portion of the disbursement, and it's a reminder that the best practice is to certify EL before the first payment. If you see the audit icon, that is because overpayments is an auditable finding, if the school had not caught their error and backed out the payment. Now that we've talked about education level policies and looked at some examples, we will review how to identify and verify students. There are two ways to identify flagged records. The easiest way is to pull the EL report. The second way is by customizing your roster, which we'll show you how to do later in this presentation. There are also two ways to verify and clear flags. These include manually on the display roster or through a file upload. The two methods to identify flagged records include the EL verification report or by creating a customized roster specifically for education level verification. First, we will review the EL verification report. Financial aid administrators run this report to identify flagged records, and then complete verifications either directly on the roster or through an upload. Here is the pathway to pull the EL verification report. After logging into WebGrants, you will click Data Transfer under the Cal Grant section on the home page. The menu will pop up, and then you will click Report Download. From the Report Download screen, you will notice that your school code will be automatically populated. You can then proceed to select a variety of reports from the drop-down. In this case, we will choose the Education Level Verification Report from the drop-down box and select Search. After clicking Search, a list of available education level reports will appear. These reports are made available each week and are updated to list any students on your roster that are still in need of this verification. Select Download File to view the report. This will create a pop-up screen in which it allows you to download the report. Here is the format of the EL verification report. This report lists students requiring EL verification from your institution. It includes the student's self-reported education level from their financial aid application, the Cal Grant type they have been awarded, and their current award and verification status. From this report, you can complete verifications either directly on the roster or through an upload. Next, let's review how to customize your roster. Customizing your roster allows institutions to save time by creating rosters that target specific criteria. For example, you can customize your school's Cal Grant roster to identify your school's unpaid students, display student records that are on hold due to missing high school graduation self-certification, list all DREAM Act applicants, or, in our example, to identify those students that require EL verification. To access and customize your roster, choose Roster/Reconciliation under the Cal Grant section on the home page. Then click on Customize Roster. All customized rosters that you create begin with the CSAC standard roster. Click the notepad pencil icon under the Actions column header. Change the name of the roster title to describe the type of roster you'll be creating. In this case, you might call it EL Verification. Next, ensure that you select the No Radio button to indicate that this will not be your preferred roster. You do not want to overwrite your standard roster because it lists all Cal Grant awardees at your school. The first section includes optional filters and sorting elements. You can leave these blank if you wish. In many cases, you may not want to use these options. If you choose to use the optional filters, you will be able to sort them in your sort order preference. It's the next section where users can filter out all students to zero in and select specific records, such as students who are flagged for EL or transfer entitlement verification. Let's take a look. As we mentioned on the previous slide, this section allows you to select the type of records you wish to display. Since we are creating an EL verification roster, we will select both verification required boxes, not paid required, and paid verification required, next to EL status. Other applicable uses of roster customization include high school graduation verification flags or transfer entitlement verification flags. After CSAC announces the upcoming competitive recycle via our listserv, you can customize your roster to identify unpaid students so they can be paid before awards are withdrawn. The Dream App flag can be used as an outreach tool to ensure all Dream Act applicants have submitted their non-resident tuition exemptions. Our two newest flags include Foster Youth, which identifies students who are in foster care at age 13 or older, and this can be used to refer foster youth to additional services. Our Students with Dependents flag identifies students who indicated on the FAFSA or DREAM Act application that they have a dependent and are providing at least 50% support. Finally, make sure that you select Save Roster Format at the bottom of the screen to save your new custom roster. Once saved, you will be able to access your custom roster for future use, and any custom rosters that you create can be deleted if needed. This is a great tool to help you better administer Cal Grants for the students who rely on them. Once you have identified your students, how do you go about verifying their EL? Remember, there are two methods to do this: manual confirmation via the online roster or via file upload. Typically, you will use the manual confirmation on the roster when you need to verify a small number of students, and you will use the file upload method when you need to verify a large number of students. Using your customized EL verification roster or education level verification report to identify flagged records, you can see that this student has the EL verification flag. She self-reported EL3 Junior on her FAFSA or DREAM Act application, and now the school will use the drop-down to verify the EL. This student was also paid for fall term before the flag was cleared. However, additional payments will reject until EL is verified. After selecting the education level, click Save. The verification will be processed during the following weekend, and once your EL verification reconciles, a payment can be posted. The roster will not allow an EL verification and a payment to be posted in the same transaction. Once EL has been verified either as the same or different than what was reported on the financial aid application, the flags will be cleared and the roster will reflect the EL status. Verified as reported means the EL was verified to be the same as what the student self-reported. Verified as different means the EL was different than what the student self-reported and will update the student's Cal Grant lifetime eligibility. The second way to verify EL is via the batch file upload process. This allows you to certify education level for multiple students at once. In order for the file upload to be successful, the original text file must have been built with a very specific file layout. Your school's IT department likely already built an upload-ready text file, so you just need to perform the upload. You can refer to the Help section in WebGrants for the file specifications if you need to work with your IT department to build the text file. The Tools menu provides an Excel template to display data in an easy-to-read spreadsheet. Uploaded files are processed weekly over the weekend. Once you have uploaded your EL verification file, you'll want to review the EL verification upload report, also known as the EL Change Data File Upload Report, the following day. This report will inform you whether the file was accepted and will detail any records that could not be changed. The Education Level Verification Accept/Reject report provides feedback after an institution uploads an EL verification report. Manual EL verifications do not appear on this report. Similar to others, there is an accepted and rejected section. Institutions will need to work through the rejected section. There are a few different reject reasons. For example, a school is not allowed to verify student EL code means that the EL was already verified in a previous academic year. EL verification attempts for renewal students will always reject because only new awards require EL verifications. The most common reject reason is invalid award status, which usually occurs when a school has posted a transaction that withdraws the award, for example IT for ineligible for transfer entitlement, before the EL verification was performed. The withdrawn record is an invalid award status to perform the EL verification. In closing, remember these important tips. Not only does EL determine lifetime remaining eligibility, it is only verified once by the school that posts the first Cal Grant payment. And while web grants will allow a fall payment to be posted prior to verifying education level, it is best practice to verify before paying the student to avoid overpaying, like we saw in the example of the student being paid Cal Grant B as an EL2, but actually being an EL1. Each institution sets its own policy on education level and is responsible for implementing these policies. Having established policies is a requirement of the IPA and is therefore reviewed during an audit. If your school's policy is followed each time and the student's education level is verified before the first payment, then you can ensure the student's lifetime eligibility is established correctly and they can benefit from the Cal Grant funds. Before wrapping up, I'll leave you with some helpful resources. We encourage everyone to subscribe to our listserv. The Commission communicates with high schools and colleges via our listserv, so if you're not receiving our alerts, you're missing out. Follow the link at the bottom of the Commission's homepage at www.csac.ca.gov to choose the types of alerts and notifications you wish to receive. Once subscribed, you will receive operation memos and special alerts in your email to keep you up to date and informed about financial aid programs and operations. Also, the Commission meetings are public and can be live streamed, but are also recorded so you can watch them at any time if you want to learn more about the decisions being made for CSAC. Here is the path to navigate to sign up for our trainings. From our homepage, click on the Schools and Counselors tab, select either high school staff or college staff, and then click on Trainings. The Commission is actively building upon our training library to include training on additional topics and formats. We currently offer the following: live webinars, annual statewide financial aid training, regional training, YouTube training videos, ad hoc personalized trainings, Cash for College workshops, and Train the Trainer workshops. Cash for College events are free and open to both high school and college students who need assistance with the FAFSA and DREAM Act application. Some organizations will charge to prepare the application, both of which are free. Don't let your students or their families pay to submit a free application. The cashforcollege.org website allows students to request a list of virtual workshops. And if your school or organization would like to get involved, consider hosting a virtual Cash for College workshop. If you get at least 50 applicants, you can receive up to $300 in site support funds. Remember, even if your student misses the March 2nd Cal Grant priority deadline, other financial aid is still available after the deadline. FAFSA and DREAM Act applicants have the September 2nd Cal Grant and GPA deadline for community college students. For FAFSA filers, Pell Grant and work study funds may still be available, and private scholarships have varying deadlines. For DREAM Act applicant filers, the California College Promise Grant and Student Success Completion Grant are still available at the California community colleges, and some private scholarships may be available to Dreamers. Literature and brochures on state programs are available and can either be shipped or downloaded free of charge through EPUBs. Some materials are available in multiple languages. The Cal Grant Handbook for College Financial Aid Administrators provides program overview information as well as payment scenarios and examples. We encourage everyone to engage with us on social media since we have a dedicated team working on keeping posts updated and relevant to the time of the year. Please check out our websites for more information. If you have any questions, please contact school support by phone or email. Thank you.